So I have here a test press of the new Frank Sinatra in the Wee Small Hours. That's coming out from the Tone Poet series. And I figured I might as well play it for you since I have a copy and you don't, and you probably will want one. So this is cut from the original mono master tape that hasn't been used for decades. It ended up being put away someplace, they didn't know where it was, and everything that's ever been used to put this record out was not from this tape. So we don't have a mono cartridge, but it'll still sound very, very good. So we'll just start the record right at the beginning and we'll play a few tracks.
In the wee small hours of the morning, while the whole wide world is fast asleep, you lie awake and think about the girl and never ever think of counting sheep.
So that record was one of the first theme albums that was ever created, where someone had an artist had an idea to make an entire record with a theme going, and that was Frank's genius. So now we're going to play another record that's not quite out yet. It's a one-step of Nat King Cole's Christmas album. So it's one step. It's cut directly from the 3-track master tape, and we're going to play, of course, the famous Christmas song that was written by Mel Torme, because, as you know, Jews wrote the best Christmas songs. He's getting it ready. I will tell you an audiophile joke that only audiophiles would appreciate. So, Paul Klipsch and Amor Bose meet on the street, and Paul Klipsch goes, "Hey, Amor, how you doing?" And Amor goes, "I'm doing great, Paul. How are you?" To let to an average person, they go,
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight.
Times. That's one of the reasons why they decided to put it out again as a one-step, since it's so popular. So next, I'm going to play for you this record, which is a Mode record. This is a jazz label that came out in 1957. Mode Records was started by two guys who were in the film syndication business. And they were friends with Lester Koenig, who started Contemporary Records, and with Richard Bach, who started Pacific Jazz. And the three of them went to see some jazz artist at a jazz club in Hermosa Beach, and they all decided they had to start record labels. So that's how they got started. These guys started Mode Records. Started in July of 1957, and by December of 1957, they had put out 31. They had recorded 31 titles and put out 29, and went out of business immediately because they did too much too quickly. But they hired an engineer named Dayton Howe, Bones Howe. Some of you may know that name. Bones Howe is one of the great engineers, still alive. He's in his 90s, of the era. He recorded all of Tom Waits' great records. He recorded, what's the other thing he did? He did, what else is like Tom Waits? Oh, he did the Association Inside Out, if you know that record with Windy on it. It's a great, great sounding record. He was a great engineer. He did all of these Mode records at radio recorders. And most of them were recorded in stereo, but only released in mono because they didn't have stereo in 1957 yet. So a guy I know named Jeff Barr, who was a jazz dealer, bought the rights to all this whole entire catalog in 1983. It sat in a warehouse after they went bankrupt. Sat in a warehouse all these years, and a label called VSOP issued a lot of these titles in the mid 80s, and they're wonderful titles. Most of them have this artwork that was painted by this woman, Eva Diana. She painted the artwork on most of these mode records. And this one just came out. This is Pepper Adams 5. This is mode number 112. I want you to look at this packaging, because if you have any of the Tone Poet series, they're beautifully packaged. Those look like nothing compared to this. This is a hard case. What was that?
Gremlins.
Oh. Anyway, the packaging is incredible, and the annotation about Pepper Adams, who is a baritone sax player, is absolutely. You learn more reading this about jazz in the 50s and about Pepper Adams' background and how he came to New York. He was a very milquetoasty looking guy, and someone got him to go up on the stand with Sonny Rollins, and he got convinced to give this kid Sonny Rollins' saxophone. And Sonny Rollins looked at this kid and said, "This is crazy. Okay, here." And when he was finished playing, Sonny Rollins almost fell on the floor. How good this guy was. The story of Pepper Adams is absolutely fantastic, and it's told in here. And then the annotation goes on from the Pepper Adams story to all the other guys that played on this record and their whole background. And then it goes into how this record was made, and Bernie Grundman cut the lacquers from the original Stereo Master tapes, which have never been used. And so this is at 45 RPM. It's not a long record, so they cut it at 45. And the guy that did this is a guy in North Carolina. This is his first record he's released. And he sent me this record with a letter introducing himself. And the letter had no phone number or email address. Who is this guy? And there was no record in the jacket either, by the way, which was kind of disappointing. So I did finally find out a way to get a hold of him on his website, and he sent me the record. So that's what we're going to play. And there are a couple of cuts on this record that are standards. So this Unforgettable, which is that King Cole song, it's a good segue. And then another one, Bubbles, Bangles, and Beads, on side one. That takes care of side one. Side two has two originals by Pepper Adams. But we're going to play the two songs on side one, which are songs you're familiar with, so it'll go down easy. And it's an amazing recording, as you'll hear. And he's pressing, I think, 2,000 of these. And so if you can get a hold of one of these, if you like it, you should try to get it now. It's only on his website, which is Gamma Records, Gama. But I'll give you the spelling after we play it. So we're going to play two tracks from this record. Which, I mean, the sound, the packaging, everything about it is tremendous. All right, let's do that.
Again, just to clarify, it's Art Pepper and who?
This is Pepper Adams.
Art Pepper.
Not Art Pepper.
Oh,
Pepper Adams.
Pepper Adams.
Yeah,
Who
gets
else?
confusing. Pepper Adams, it's got Carl Perkins, not the Honey Dome Carl Perkins, he died young as a pianist. Leroy Vinegar and Bell Lewis. So it's a West Coast. Yeah, you'll get the whole West Coast vibe from this record.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Never mistake that for an East Coast Blue Note recording. I mean, that's California free-flowing music. So now,
Can I ask a question?
you may.
Okay. You might have an explanation
I may not.
from a vinyl guru standpoint. I know this system really well. I've listened to it many times.
This system.
Yeah. I did the LP session last night. I know this system. This system does not. This system you can sit with my friend. Talk and sit. You still get a really good start.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a couple of tracks, and we're hearing from the V in the back side over, and that's all we're hearing. Is it something about the recording that we're not hearing anything from the V over?
It must be.
This system does not do that.
Yeah. Well, it's the you're hearing the recording. So the system can do this, but the recording.
I'm not trying to be that guy, but I'm just
No, but
trying
the
to figure
recording
it out.
obviously is not. It's not that.
Okay. Is that what it is? Is this a stereo recording mono?
That what?
Yeah.
That was stereo all the way.
Okay.
Sure.
Because the first mono one, we said maybe it's mono. It's all
Well, Frank Sinatra was mono, so unless you're sitting right in the middle, it's going to be wherever you're sitting.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I'm trying to be gracious here.
No, don't be gracious. You're at a hi-fi show, for God's sake. You're supposed to be an a-hole at a hi-fi
But
show.
that was the stereo one. I was
Yeah.
hearing everything from like where you are over.
You had to kick this guy out of his seat, and
Are you hearing less?
and you heard the horns.
Yeah.
It was a little bit bumped to the right,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was a full.
So let me tune
No,
into it.
Okay.
We heard the
The
piano.
reason why I was asking.
Yeah, the piano was over there.
Yeah.
Over
Reason why I
there,
asked-
the trumpet.
I sit kind of off to the right of the sweet spot, and my wife sits next to me.
Yeah.
And I like to have my system be like, well, you're not hearing shit when I'm hearing good.
Yeah.
And yeah, but we were.
It's recording centric.
Thank you.
That's what it is.
I just want to kind of get.
It's like my wife is in the dog world, so she shows dogs.
Yeah.
And people say the hi-fi world is weird. Dog world is.
What's
What's the difference
I'm
between
sorry
dog?
to rain on your parade, but I think I was just giving you an opportunity to give me an explanation for that. Why we were hearing everything from like the back lightning bolt over
That was the recording.
and nothing else. Right?
You said, what's the difference between the
But
hi-fi
I know
world?
it's not.
Okay, enough. What's the difference between the dog world and the hi-fi world? The difference is in the elevators, there's more crap in the hi-fi. You take a joke, that's a good joke, right? And we're here to play music.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
So the next record we're going to play
I'm trying to
is
be
a
an
record by Anthony Wilson. I mean, you know who Anthony Wilson is? He is the guitarist in Diana Krall's band, among
Right.
other things. And his father was Gerald Wilson, who was a great arranger, one of the great arrangers in the 50s and 60s.
Know that.
And he did a Nonette album, which is 9 pieces playing. He did a Nonette album for Groove Note Records in 2006, and he hasn't done one since, and he just did one. And it's a live recording done at a club called Sam First in Los Angeles. And Sam First has been recording records at their club and releasing them, and you can only buy them at samfirst.com. You can't buy them anyplace else. So this one is called The House of the Singing Blossoms. And it's the Anthony Williams Nonette. And I'm going to play for you a very familiar track. It's In a Silent Way, which I'm sure a lot of you know from the Miles Davis version. And it's a Joe Zawinul record. He composed it. And so we're going to hear the Nonette version of In a Silent Way. And I promise you there'll be instruments there. And if it's all over there, tell that guy to get the hell up for a couple of minutes or to sit on his lap because it's okay. I'd stop it there. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah. That was gorgeous. Yeah.
Did you hear all the instruments where they belonged, I hope?
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
So now I'm going to play another new record. So this is a record I'm putting out on my label. since I have you as captive audience, I feel I'm entitled to tell you about this. So I released a record 2 years ago called Rufus Reid Presents Kalen Cardello, and some of you may have gotten that record. We pressed up 2,000 copies, and we sold them all, and they want me to press up more. And I'm really proud of that record because Kalen Cardello is a wonderful young pianist. He's 25 years old now. He was one of the finalists in the Herbie Hancock competition a couple of years ago. And we put it out, we sold all those records, and Bob Ludwig mastered it for me. Bob Ludwig was, you all know Bob Ludwig, yes. So he was retiring, and I felt it was ready to be sent to the pressing plant and to be cut and pressed. And I sent it to Bob as a gift. I said, "You're retiring, Bob, and I've known you all these years, and I want you to have this record." And he got back to me and said, "I want to master this record because I want my name on this record because I think this kid is going to really go places and I want to be associated with this kid." Who I found, so the way I found, you want to hear how I found this kid? Or I'll make it as quick as I can because I don't want to do. So I went to a thing called the Jazz Piano Marathon, a post-COVID event that a friend of mine who was a concert promoter ran, because during COVID, obviously, he couldn't run too many concerts. So he decided to run this thing called the New York Jazz Piano Marathon at a showroom for pianos. It wasn't even a concert, it was a showroom for pianos. And so a friend of mine and I decided to go there and support our friend by going. And so a bunch of young pianists got up and they played, and it was very good. And then all of a sudden, the veteran bassist Rufus Reid showed up. He drags his bass in there, introduces this kid, Kalen Cardello, and they start playing. And after the 2 tracks, I said to my friend, "This is like I'm hearing a young Bill Evans." Not that he sounds like Bill Evans, but he's melodic and lyrical like Bill Evans. And following what he was doing was amazing. And my friend said, "It is being recorded." Our friend Duke Marcos, an engineer that we know, is recording this. So when it was over, I went up to Rufus Reid and I said, "Rufus, if this sounds good, I want to put this out on vinyl. Can I do that?" And he said, "Pay me and you can do whatever you want with it." Okay, that's smart. So it sounded great, and I said to Kalen, "I will put the money up to do this. It's going to cost a lot of money. I'll make you 1,000 CDs. You could sell it when you perform. You can sell the CDs." And he said, "Deal." So we made the record. We pressed it up. We sold all 2,000 copies, and people loved the record. So Kalen's got a new record out, and this is a test pressing of it. And Kalen's got a group, and they are so hot, and this is the opposite. That record is like late night, have a glass of scotch, and and relax. This is the opposite. This is like an adrenaline rush kind of record. And I told people, I wrote the liner notes for both records. Forgot to put my name on the first one, but I put it on this one. And I said on this one, it's not an audiophile recording. It's not like a blue line pair of microphones in a concert hall kind of space. It's in a small studio, lots of microphone bleed, and it's not an audiophile recording. And then I got it back, and it was mastered twice. Once it was cut by Matthew Luthans at the mastering lab at Chad Kassem's place. And I didn't feel that was right for this record, so I asked Dave McNair to cut it. Dave McNair used to write for Part-Time Audiophile. Dave McNair has been writing for my website, trackingangle.com, and he stopped doing that to cut lacquers, and he's got a really great cutting system. So I sent him the files, because it's for recording, and he knocked it out of the park. So I'm going to play you 2 tracks. So one is a song called "Step It Up," which is a Kalen original, and the other one is a Thelonious Monk track called "Ask Me Now" that Kalen plays as a solo, and it's only available on the record. You can stream this record now on Qobuz, but you won't get that track. And when I got the final mix that Kalen brought over, I didn't like it that much, so I asked him if I could remix it, and he said okay. So we remixed it. I had Duke Marcos remix it, and it came out much better, much more like what I wanted to hear. And the vinyl version of it, I'm just really proud of how this came out. So we're gonna play those 2 tracks. And put on your seatbelts, because stepping up is really high energy. And it's funny because we finished this, and they debuted the record at a penthouse in Manhattan. So it's the last. It's the last 2 tracks of that side. They debuted it at a penthouse, and Fred Hirsch and Bill Charlap showed up. If you know jazz pianists, two great jazz pianists, they showed up, and then they played at Dizzy's in New York the next night. I went to that also. And then I had to fly to San Francisco to go to an event, and I'm in San Francisco. We're still working on this record, so I text Kalen. I said, "Kalen, I can't do much now. I'm in San Francisco at an event." And he got back to me and said, I'm in San Francisco too. We're playing at the Black Cat tonight. I said, I'll be there. So I went saw him 3 nights in a row. And today I was upstairs with David Chesky. You love you know who David Chesky is. He's a great pianist also. And David came up to me and said, I heard these tracks that you played, and this kid, I think this kid is going to be like the next Herbie Hancock or the next McCoy Tyner. That's how good he is. And it's so cool that you got a hold of this kid and are doing this stuff for him. So to me, it's like, it's the most exciting thing. After 35 years of being a critic, I can become a record mogul. So. 33. So we'll play the last 2 tracks, and the drummer and the bass player it's insane what they do. And then there'll be a solo piano of the Monk track. And usually when I hear piano recording where they put the lower keys over here and the upper keys over, I don't like that. I don't want to be the piano player. I want to be in the audience. But in this case, I felt that what he was doing with his left and right hand was so amazing that I wanted to mix it that way. So you'll hear the left hand. You'll hear the left hand over here, and the right hand. He's on his phone. He doesn't care. The left hand, the right hand is the open disc, and you'll hear that. So he won't hear the left hand. But he won't hear any, but he's on his phone.
What's the album title?
So what's that?
What's the album title?
This is called Chapter 1. So even though it's his second record, it's Chapter 1 because the other record is. I walked in on them playing live, and that was a Rufus Reid record. Really.
Terrific record, by the way.
So this is going to be, you can stream it on Qobuz, and the vinyl is going to come out in a couple of weeks. It's going to be cut. It's cut. It's going to be pressed starting next week. Chad said, "Hey man, I'll put it on the press for you next week." Okay, so Cherkasky, and he taught a lot of people. He's got a very iconic style of playing piano, and this is a Chopin recital. And I figured, what better place to play this than in Warsaw? So I went to the Warsaw show 2 weeks ago, and I played this record, and people went crazy, and they took pictures of it. They'd never heard of this record. So I'll play a little bit of this. And the airport in Warsaw is named after Frederick Chopin, so they're very highly cultured and into this music. If we named an airport after Frederick Chopin, I think people here would go, "Who's this chopping guy? What's he chopping?" Okay, I'm being anti-American for a second. I'm sorry. And another interesting thing is, Dave McNair mastered the record on these speakers, right? This is what he's got.
We've got the SRC too, so put out these at home.
Yeah, okay, so he's got a bunch of his speakers at home, so I knew that would sound great, and it really did. I'm not so blowing smoke to this guy, because I don't really like him that much, but the fact of the matter is, that sounded so good in this room, and this system does sound fantastic. It always sounds fantastic. And for a guy that doesn't know that much, he does a very good job making speakers. Of Who's Next that you know, when Classic Records would put out records, they would cut everything at 33 and at 45, even if they only released 33. So Chad Kassem bought the catalog of Classic Records, and among the metal parts he had was Who's Next at 45, which was never released at 45. But he was nice enough to make a UHQR 45 of Who's Next for me. So, because we go back a long time, and when nobody was buying records, we were buying records, and so we're going to play Baba O'Reilly and the next track at 45 RPM, and it's I'm going to play it loud because it's the Who, and it should sound really good. And we'll I saw the Who do Tommy in front of like 250 people at the Boston Tea Party in 1969, and I was so close to the stage that when Roger Daltrey swung his microphone, it went over my head and around. Really great. And then I saw them like a month, and then Tommy hit, became really big, and then a month later they played the Boston Armory, and I went with my girlfriend, and we sat in the front row because she was on the social committee, and saw them in the front row in front of a lot of people. And I remember parts of it because I took LSD. Okay. Still here and I'm fine. I think. So I have here an unreleased, any REM fans here?
Yeah.
So this is REM Chronic Towns. That was their first, Brian, that was their first record, right?
Yeah, that was.
You were a child when this was put out, right?
Was I born? Yeah.
I was already a mature adult.
He was
Or an adult.
hatched.
I'm still not a mature adult. All right. So this is the original Murmur, and this is the one step that isn't out yet, that Because Sound Matters is putting out. I haven't even opened it. So which track should we compare?
On Murmur or on Chronic?
Chronic.
Carnival.
Okay, we'll play the original first.
Use the rabbit's tail over there. That'll work.
Well, Charles did restore both the Kalin record and the Anthony Wilson record. And the Anthony Wilson record really needed it because I brought that to Warsaw, and I brought it into a room, and the guy took a can of spray and sprayed the record with an anti-static spray. I said, I didn't ask you to spray the record. He said, well, now it'll have no static. And he played it, and it was all full of pops and clicks that weren't there before.
The original was